Hey, welcome back to the garage, everyone. All right, this weekend, we're just gonna have a nice, short little vlog video, and we're gonna see what's been going on around the shop. I think we're just gonna be doing some cleanup and some arranging, and we're getting ready for some really, really big stuff around here. So stick around, we'll fill you in on all the details just shortly. All right, we got the workbench cleaned up here, and tools of the trade to continue cleaning up under the engine bay in the Corvette. Got some no-ox for electrical connections, got some heat shrink, and some heat for the heat shrink, and little wire wheel to clean up connectors. And over here we got the ground cable. I think it's the ground cable. Or is it the hot cable? I can't recall which. Anyway, it's one of the cables that goes to the starter. Had a little nastiness here, had a little slit in the end of the cover, and but I looked at the wire, it looks okay. This is the original one of the car. Cleaned it up with a wire wheel, and I had a big old piece of heat shrink on there and cleaned that up and put some no-ox underneath it, so that is good to go. It did have this white haze all over it, like this hose. I think really I'm just going to take these heater hoses and just replace them. They're probably fine, but I don't know. I'll wipe them off with the vinegar and water first and see how that goes. But I had white haze all over here, and you want to get this white haze mold off of something, just get about 25% vinegar and some water and spray it on and wipe it off. It just evaporates it. It just dissolves it completely. So that's really what I'm going to be doing here while I deliberate over the engine, and even after I take the short block into the machine shop. I'm going to be cleaning up the engine bay here. So we'll be de-rusting and painting up the cross member, and eventually we'll go ahead and get the tie rods and the center link installed, and then the phone rings. And anyway, so some of this stuff may get replaced. The air conditioning system has this really gnarly looking piece of insulation on here. I guess I don't even know what this is for. It's all ganked up and nasty looking. So that, that needs to come off of there and maybe find something that's nicer. And then this little heater valve here, it's a little rusty and worse for wear. I mean, it still works fine. Just going to get that off of there and clean it up. Clearly want to get in here and clean up the frame as well. In the front here, the rad support, that's rad, dude. I can't stand the term rad. I prefer radiator. Anyway, but I'll get off my high horse. The rad support needs to be de-rusted. It's not bad. It's just got very minor surface rust on it. So that's what I'm doing. Hey, look at that. The underside of the booster is still pretty. So there you go. All right, here in the back, we've got the cross member here where the transmission is mounted up. I've been wire wheeling and mineral spirits and all kinds of stuff. It just was caked on with grease and stuff from over the years, Oh, the rear main seal and the power steering and all that kind of stuff leaking down, and it just accumulates back here. And in '78, so I've probably talked about this before, but this cross member, in '78, they were still putting this dual pipe cross member on the Corvettes. '75 was the last year for dual exhaust on the Corvette. It just was. I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they just made two holes to where maybe on some cars they have the exhaust go through here and some over there. I don't know. But clearly this cross member was for a dual exhaust car. But you couldn't get a dual exhaust Corvette after '75. They didn't make them. Unless you guys know better, comment down below. My thing here is they made a crap ton of these cross members and just had them laying around, and they just used them up. And they just said, well, we got them, might as well use them, even though we're only going to put one pipe through it. So anyway, but this car is not going, I think, I'm not going to use either of these holes. I'm going to use side pipes when I get ready to put this car back together. That's going to be cool. All right, here's what we got. So finally, I went over to the house garage and I gathered up everything that goes to the Corvette and brought it over here to the shop and laid it out mostly in one spot. There's a few things that are on the other side of the room because I ran out of room on my makeshift table here. And I thought we would go through these items, and mostly as a mental exercise for myself to make sure I know where they go. So let's see how well we can do. Obviously this is that's the crank pulleys, and this should be the water pump pulley. Piece of insulation that goes behind or in front of the radiator, helps seal it up. This is the vacuum system for the power brakes. That hard line goes to the carburetor and the other one goes to the brake booster. I've got another pulley right there. One of these goes to the water pump and the other one goes to, I can't recall right now. We'll figure it out later. Breather hose on the valve cover. 4 of the spark plugs. The other 4 are still over there. I forgot about them. Clearly the clutch fan. A few odds and ends underneath there. There's a long bracket. Vacuum hose. Carburetor springs. Vacuum operated thermal valves for opening and closing vacuum. And one of them is the temperature for the coolant, I believe. And distributor cap and coil. All this stuff right here is spark plug management. These are heat shields that go around the spark plugs and helps you route the plugs. This is the heat sink for the hot air choke. Goes down in the intake manifold. This is the stock distributor cover. Just needs cleaning. Has some RF shielding there on the back side of it. These are the radiator mounts. Smog pump. By the way, we'll talk about the stuff that's not going to go back on the car. Smog pump pulley. You're out of here. Because the smog pump, which is right there, you're out of here. Smog pump inlets that they plug into the exhaust manifolds. Both of those. One of them's got 4 ports on it, and the other one's only got 2. Interesting. But they're both out of here. These are brackets that go to the air conditioning compressor and basically the air pump, air conditioning compressor, and the accessories. Distributor. Let's talk about this for a moment. That's the stock distributor, even though it looks clean and new and shiny. So there's a dude up in, I believe he's in Michigan. His name is Mark Saunders. He may still be in business, but I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. At the time, he was restoring and refurbishing, recurving, and souping up distributors on all makes of cars. And I sent mine to him, and he basically restored it and recurved it, woke the engine up quite a bit, and it basically enhanced or modified the curve, the advanced curve, and he put a new vacuum pot on there. Obviously, cleaned it up really well. And you know, I had actually shimmed it before I sent it to him. Anyway, I called him up probably a few years later and asked him to do the distributor on, I think it was his Cadillac or one of my other vehicles. And he said, nah, I'm not doing that anymore. I think he just specializes in distributor machine repair and refurbishment now. So very interesting fellow, very interesting business. Anyway, I believe the name of the business was Paramount Distributors at the time. I'm not sure if the website's still up or not. This is an aftermarket starter. So there's an interesting story behind this starter and the distributor. So I want to back up a little bit more. What led me initially to get this distributor restored was a problem with starting. Now at the time, I didn't know anything about advancing ignition causing a car or an engine to be hard to start. Now, I'm not going to go into the reasons why. I think everybody here knows why. You know, if you advance the ignition too much, it's going to be hard to start because it's going to try to fire before it gets top dead center. And if you're just starting the engine, it will cause it to go whoa, whoa, you know, like that. So until it gets up to speed, and then it cranks okay. Anyway. Now, so what happened was, this Corvette started doing that out of the blue. It became very difficult to start. I could not figure it out. I replaced the starter, couple of times. I thought, well, I got one bad out of the box. And just whoa. I troubleshot the battery cables, replaced, I don't think I replaced the battery cable, but I just checked them, made sure they were okay. Replaced the battery, and I couldn't figure it out. Because, you know, at the time, I just didn't know. I just didn't have the experience. So eventually, I took it to a local mechanic just down the road from me who I knew had a lot of classic GM experience. He brings me over to the side. He goes, let me show you what I found. He takes a spare distributor that he had. He had the cap off of it, and he showed me the advancing weights. He flicked them open, and they sprung back immediately. He flipped them open, and they sprung back immediately. He goes, look, you see how that works? Yeah? All right. It's supposed to spring back immediately. Well, over time, and you guys may have seen this before as well, but at the time I had no experience with it. Over time, if your car gets old enough and things start to rust and the grease starts to gum up, the advancing mechanism in one of these old distributors, one of these old GM HEI distributors, we'll be riding along on the road one day, and all of a sudden a little bit too much rust gets down in there, and all of a sudden that you drive down the road and the springs fling out, and then when you stop, they don't fling back. They stay in an advanced state, and that is exactly what happened to this distributor. It was a very nitpicking little microscopic, you know, catch me if you can kind of a problem, and I didn't have the experience to find the issue, and but the mechanic did. So kudos to him. He showed me what to do. Basically, I just sprayed some WD-40 down in the daggum thing and loosened it up, and it worked fine for a while. You know, WD-40 kind of goes away, so, but it, you know, that was just a quick fix. The permanent fix was having the distributor repaired, and you know, he basically dismantled it and took it all apart and made it like new again. So anyway, so now during all of this, I installed a high torque starter. This is like a high torque racing starter. This starter will spin this small block Chevy over so fast it'll make your head spin. It is just purely comical. Anyway, it's a great starter. I'm going to continue using it. So anyway, all right, let's move on. Here's the original water neck, vacuum lines. Here's the EGR valve. I'm debating on either putting it on the engine and blocking it off, or just, I've got a blocking plate over here I bought. So one of the two, but I'm not going to use EGR. These are spark plug routing channels. There's two of them, one on either side. There's one here. Alternator, clearly. Water pump. And this light blue paint was a mistake on my part. I chose the wrong color back in the day. I painted that stuff a long time ago. Let's see. More stuff we're not going to use. Let's see. This goes to the power steering pump. We will use that. We will not use these two lines here because we are not going to use the original power steering cylinder. We're going to go with a Borgeson standard gear on this car. And that means these hoses here coming off the pump probably going to change as well. Here's your clutch shaft right here. One of the radiator hoses is still in good condition, although it'll probably get changed out just for good measure. Heat riser shield. You hook up that pipe that goes into the breather. You get it. Anyway, this is a little Bowden cable holder. I can't recall what that's for. Gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, it holds an adjustment cable of some sort. I can't recall what it was. I'll figure it out later. Anyway, here's some heat shields here, one here and one here. They go on either side of the engine and protect the spark plug wires. And then again, and also clearly I have lots and lots of nuts and bolts that I took off as I, really the ones that are, only one that are really important to me are the spark plug conduit, starter bolts. The ones that are important to me are for the clutch, because that was kind of the most spark plug wire management. Apparently I was concerned about that as well. Let's see what we got here. Transmission mount. And clutches, the clutch doodads are in here somewhere. There it is, clutch and oil pressure. Anyway, so I probably need to bag up there's various and sundry other little bits and pieces here. I probably need to bag those up as well. I kept all the belts, you know, just for good measure, just so I'll know, you know, what the links are. So those will get tossed, but we'll get new belts. And then there's the original spark plug wires as well. So the spark plugs themselves on this car, a R45 TS AC. So they're a little, you know, they're a little dark. Of course, these have been sitting over there for 18 months, and so I'll probably end up replacing them, but they probably will just clean up just fine, and we can continue to use them. All right, so over here, ran out of room on the table. This is the air duct work for the dual snorkel to the air cleaner. Clearly that will get reused. The screws that hold it together. This cylinder for the power steering, you're out of here. We're gonna toss that. This is the shroud for the transmission for the radiator. We'll just clean that up and reuse it. And then here is the some more duct work that goes, you know, for the air induction there. All right, over here we got heads. These will not be reused. We're going to go with aftermarket heads, aluminum. I assume. I haven't figured out which brand I'm going to get yet. Timing set, nothing wrong with it. That'll get reused. It's only got a few thousand miles on it, and it's in perfect condition. So I need to get the gear off of the crank. Clearly, original intake manifold. I have decided that I would like to reuse this. I really don't want an aftermarket manifold on the engine, merely because I don't want the look. I want the original look on the top of the engine. I'm going to keep the valve covers, the intake manifold. We're going to keep the quadrajet. You know, I'm just not interested in, oh, that's an extra 10 horsepower. I don't care. Heads, cam, stuff internal, fine, but on the outside, I want it to look original. I want it to look stock. There's the camshaft. I pulled that out last night. There's all my lifters and my rockers and push rods and whatnot over there. And then the flywheel and the clutch, exhaust manifolds as well. The exhaust manifolds, bye-bye, you're out of here. We're going to get headers. And lastly, air cleaner. I think I might strip that and re-powder coat it and put me a new GM sticker on there. Finally got my workbench cleaned off as well. Oh, it was pretty awful. But I did have something kind of special here that I wanted to share with you all here right at the end of the video. So let me clean up this area, and I'll show you what it is. You guys may or may not care about it, but I think it's pretty neat. All right, have a little unboxing here, shall we? And we're going to be a little careful with this one. Not entirely sure how this goes together. May seem a little bit weird for one YouTube channel to praise another, but it happens on occasion. I mean, you know, there's competition, clearly, right? But it's not like cutthroat competition where, you know, like it is in the corporate world. I suppose some of that does go on in the YouTube world where folks steal others' ideas and whatnot. But for the most part, it seems to me that the YouTube content creator community is a very helpful place, and I guess you could call it a community. I guess really you could just not call this a razor blade. I'm trying to be careful because I happen to know that the people that put this together did it in their living room with their friends. And he said when he put out a live stream a while back and said, you know, I'm packaging this thing really good because I don't want it to get damaged. You know, well, he wasn't lying about that, I guarantee it. He fastened the bubble wrap to the end of the container. That was rather ingenious, actually. Yeah, I think we're getting there. I have never in my life encountered packaging like this. And, you know, it pays to really have the right tool, I guess. And some sharp scissors. Good Lord. Where did you get this bubble wrap, Scott? Note, I'm not really talking to them because they don't watch this channel. I'm almost positive. Dude, this bubble wrap is off the chain. Where in the hell did you get this bubble wrap? Unbelievable. I've never seen bubble wrap like that. All right, new shop calendar, folks. JCK Photograph, Cold War Motors 2024 calendar. So if you're not familiar with the Cold War Motors YouTube channel, I'd recommend it. These guys are a trip. I mean, they've got basically every 40s, 50s, and 60s car, and a lot of 70s known to man, and on his property. And him and his buddies get together and do all sorts of restorative work. They have contests. And that's his Model T. I believe that's his Buick that he's going to restore next. This 60 Fury he did a while back, and it is an absolute dream of a vehicle. Not sure which one this is. Let's see, does it say? Okay, that's the Frazier, 1949 Frazier. 1949 Frazier. That's his 67 Fury. The door handles are shaved on this car. It's a hot rod. It's very cool. Little modification there. Little 70s hipster van action. Nice hippie van going on there. That is his buddy Dean has got an Edsel. That's Dean's Edsel. He hired a really fantastic photographer to do these. This is Miles's car. Miles is another friend of his. It's an early 70s Chrysler Newport, or is that a Newport? I believe it is. An old Indian motorcycle. I don't believe I've seen that one on the channel. I may have, I can't recall. That's the 60 Fury. That's pretty much the star of the channel. He built this car out of basically two cars. He cut one in half and put them together. Just unbelievable. 1926, I believe, Model T. Bought that one. Had some restoration work done on it. Drives it around all over the place. I don't believe I've seen this one. 1969 Fairlane. That's one of his friend's cars. It's a beautiful blue color, don't you think? Very cool. Mercedes. Hey, look at that. We're familiar with Mercedes on this channel. And an old Citroen, a French car. That's his dog. Frankers. 37, I believe it's 37 Chevrolet. And let's see what this final one is. I'm actually going backwards. So, and then there's January. This is the first one up for this year. And this is another Fury. It's a 59 this time. But that one's been restored for quite a while. This is the calendar that's going to go in our shop. That's the front of it. I was showing you the back of it earlier. Pretty silly. That's Dean. He's got a screw loose, I think. And a few of his other friends. And anyway, that's Scott and Frankers. Anyway, I just think it's cool because I really like the channel. And I just wanted to support them, that's all. So, all right, out with the old. And in with the new. And that will display prominently here in the shop in our videos. Anyway, Cold War Motors, if you haven't done so, check them out. Okay, everyone, that's all for this little vlog video. I just wanted to give you a little insight into what's going on around here this weekend. Not doing anything that's really heavy-handed, nothing, no new tear down, nothing like that. I just needed some time to gather my thoughts, get everything together in one spot, start cleaning up the engine bay, gather all my parts. Once I'm done cleaning the engine bay, all of those parts on the table over there will get the same treatment as all of the suspension and driveline parts got, okay? They'll get cleaned up, they'll get stripped, they'll get coated, they'll get painted the proper color this time. And when we're done with this car, when you pop the hood, it'll look stock. except for the headers and the side pipes. But other than that, it'll be stock. You guys have a good one. I appreciate you stopping by the channel. We'll talk to you very soon. So there's a dude up